Okay. So hope everyone can see my screen. So yeah, this is the 100th instant of Multimodal Weekly, a virtual webinar series hosted by the team at 12 Labs. I think some of you are new, some of you are regular attendees, but essentially the purpose of this session is to looking back our journey over the past 2.5 years and looking forward on what's going on with the field of multimodal AI and video understanding. As I explained a bit earlier, this is a brief agenda that we have. We'll have a couple of slides talking about the journey so far, some of the key themes, reflection, main topics that have been discussed from the previous session. And then we'll also look into actually how 12 Labs evolves in terms of our product offering from APIs to full package application. We have the Q&A session with Yoon, and then some community recognition, and then a short Q&A for any real-time question if you want to ask me or our team. Okay, so let's look into the journey so far, right? So our goal from the outset here was to create a hub for learning and sharing in the multimodal field. So for the big context, we started the first session back in May of 2023. Back then, the field was evolving, pretty fast, but it was still very nascent. Everyone was still talking about language model, Gen AI. So the goal about our series is to, bring together researchers, developers, as well as industry practitioners on a weekly dialogue. We want to basically demystify the cutting edge research and show how our technology could be used in the real world. So I want to highlight a couple of key themes and milestone episodes from our journey so far. From early on, we have used this series as a way to share our own progress and learning with our members. For example, episode 5, Travis, back then was our founding solution engineer, led a hand-on crash course on using 12 Labs Playground. This was a getting started tutorial to help new users play with our video understanding API and see its capabilities in action. So we set a precedent that we're not just talking about theory, but we're actually showing how to use the tool in an efficient manner. Episode 33, one of our DevX engineer, Miran, did a live demo of how she built an application on beauty influencer search using our 12 Labs API. This project basically YouTube influencers who mention 12 Labs. So this is a great learning moment for developers in the audience, seeing code architecture of a real application using our video search API. Episode 38 is actually a major milestone for us. Back then, it was earlier 2024. We unveiled Marengo 2.6, which is back then was our state-of-the-art video foundation model. So our research scientist team, as well as our product and solutions team, walked through the architecture, the model, performance, did a live demo how it works for how it powers our search API. And this is a very prominent for us where we share some of the leap forward in capabilities, right, about our model, which is in this case, any-to-any cross-model search with our community. Moving on a couple of episode 65 actually. So Lucas from our science team present a very interesting research on how his team evaluate video foundation models. We got a new internal benchmark called TWLVI, which essentially an evaluation framework that emphasizes both the appearance and motion understanding of video foundation models. So I think like this really showcase how we contribute not just in terms of products, but also actually advancing the research community as well, right? Keep insights on how we go beyond just standard metrics and focus on some of the other domain that is very important, like action recognition, temporal localization. Episode 66, we ship a bit towards product packaging. We released our embedded API back then. This is from our PM and a developer advocate talking about how developers can use our embedded API to generate multimodal embeddings, integrate them with vector database. This is a pretty important evolution of our technology because we make our technology accessible for many use cases, search, recommendation, visualization, alarm detection with a simple interface, right? So one of the key takeaways that I want to highlight through this internal focus session is that the community essentially got a front row seat of our journey from some of the earlier demos, how to measure model launches to new product offerings, and so reflect how our company evolved along the series, going from a single flagship model to multi-models to a platform, right? And always engaging users with feedback and education. The second theme that I want to talk about is actually our focus on highlighting the latest academic and industry research in the multimodal learning. That involves vision, language, as well as audio. So we've been quite fortunate to host a wide variety of expert researchers and cover some of the breakthrough papers. Episode 14, this is Lindsay Lee from Microsoft Research to come in and talk about applying language model for multimodal understanding, specifically talk about how LLMs can be adapted to reason about visual content. So this gives us a very interesting perspective of how to bridge vision with powerful language model, which is a pretty key theme that you just observe throughout the industry, become a crucial backbone with all the multimodal GPT style research work. Episode 12, we have Haoshen Liu. He is the creator of Lava. He come in and talk about how he built one of the first visual language model and specifically talk about instruction tuning an LLM with visual data. This is quite an early look at how we can combine image understanding with conversational AI, a trend that's only been accelerated. Episode 32, we got Jacob Spring from Manifest AI, and he come in and talk about linear transformer for efficient long sequence processing. And actually, this is pretty interesting trends which try to explore new architecture that go beyond just transformer, right? So he talked about like how we can come up with new solutions to scale up modal context. Super relevant, especially for multimodals, because they often need to handle very long video, long transcript, long audio, etc. Episode 34, we had Timothy from Meta AI. He talked about his work called Vision Transformer Need Register. This paper actually, I believe, won some like awards at like one of the ICR, one of the computer vision conference last year. This is an interesting idea that looking at how Vision Transformer can store and retrieve information. Pretty exciting pick at the next generation model architecture for computer vision. Episode 45. So here we actually have Nikhil from MIT. He covered multimodal models for audio processing and creation. So this is actually pretty interesting for us because we try to expand our scope of coverage to audio and text, right? As well as audio and vision research. So highlighting techniques for understanding and generating audio as part of a multimodal system. Just follow up on that. Episode 47, this is a group of researchers from Meta AI discuss Spirit LM, which is a multimodal language model that interleaves speech and text together. So personally for me, it's quite fascinating to hear how they extended a text language model to handle spoken language seamlessly. Episode 35, this is actually the most viewed episode of our entire series with more than 1,000 views. Vision Mamba from a group of researchers at Huazhong University of Science and Technology. This is an interesting academic project pushing the envelope of VLM. And also it's at a global perspective as well, research beyond Silicon Valley, beyond the US, right? And we learn about some of the new approach in kind of the China computer vision community. And some of the recent session, episode 86 here, we dove a bit deeper into some advanced topic, long context video modeling, even some of the philosophical question like the cost of multimodalities, right? This is a session where several papers were being presented, talking about different challenges when combining modalities, etc. So I guess the key takeaway I want to highlight from some of the research around multimodal I want to highlight here is that essentially we use the series as a platform to track the evolution of multimodal research, right? Over 100 episodes, we basically witnessed the field's progress in real time from some of the early vision language model, like pre-GPT-4 vision era, to some of the current cutting-edge work on combined speech, vision, text model, as well as long horizon understanding. This kind of knowledge sharing enrich our community knowledge and inspire ideas for new application. The third team, obviously, right, zooming deeper into zooming deeper, like from a multimodal lens, because 12 labs, we focus on video understanding. We try our best to pay special attention, right, to the kind of research that is very specific to video understanding. So many episodes actually highlight how, research in the field tackling unique challenges of video, which I will go about in a couple of next slide, right? So episode 36, this is Hila Shepard. I think back then she was working at Google Tel Aviv. She talked about Lumia, which is one of the first text-to-video synthesis model, how models can generate videos given a text prompt, right? Back then it was a state-of-the-art, actually it was state-of-the-art Gen AI models for video beyond just image. Also, March 2024, this was also the height of the text-to-image diffusion excitement, right, with stable diffusion, etc. So this was personally eye-opening to see some of the parallel advances happening in video generation as well. We also dive deeper into some major strides in video QA and video reasoning. Episode 55, three researchers from Stony Brook University talking about long-form video question answering, addressing how to handle like movies, hour-long videos, and ask a question about them. Episode 74, another group of researchers from UNC Chapel Hill, they talk about some different methods for reasoning across time in video, essentially teaching models to understand events with temporal logic, right? So these efforts show some of the progress toward deeper video comprehension, not just surface level tagging. Episode 59 and 63 cover some of the techniques for breaking down video into meaningful chunks. So object segmentation, tracking objects within video in a scene, summarizing an entire video story, right? And this is quite crucial for making long-form video understandable, navigable. We talk about different benchmark and model that can track multiple objects over time, summarize very complex scenes, which obviously much more challenging task, right? When you work beyond just that short form content. And the kind of research that we covered did not just stop at vision and text. Episode 68 here highlight a framework for video and text to sound generation. So essentially like creating a sound effect track, fitting a silent video based on the scene and a text description, right? This is truly like multimodal at the edge here. We're also looking at some framework for video reasoning, as well as architecture for doing dual model distillation, when one model can teach another across different modalities. As the field measure, we also cover some new benchmark that have emerged. Episode 67 here discuss multimodal video benchmark and video prediction models. We saw the community creating new standardized tests for video reasoning, long video understanding, which is side progress. We also talk about some of the common challenges like data efficiency, evaluation metrics for video tasks, etc. Episode 87 is one of the more recent one. Is like quite memorable. We welcome Quentin Garrido from Meta AI to talk about video world models that can understand intuitive physics. So this is about actually like agents that can learn physics from the video, predicting if something will fall over or continue moving. Show how video understanding can intersect with reinforcement learning and world modeling, hinting at a future where AI can learn to interact with the physical world just by watching video. And yeah, there's so many other topics that I got time to cover, but like too many to list over here. We have episode on streaming event detection, multimodal state space model, video frame interpolation and restoration, and so more. Suffice to say, like if there was a significant development in video AI, we try to cover it at least over the past 100 episodes, right? So the key takeaway here I want to highlight is that the past 1.5 years have been huge, right, for video research. Series try to capture that. We went from discussing basic video retrieval, video captioning tasks, to now we talk about long horizon reasoning, video to audio generation, agent that can learn physics from video. So it's very clear that video is the next frontier as an AI. Keeping up with this episode give us and as well as the community, right, a knowledge advantage in this fast moving space. Okay, so we actually did not just stick with academia. A big part of our journey is actually seeing how industry and startup are applying multimodal AI as well. We actually dedicate quite a good amount of episode to some of the talks from our partners, where companies we collaborate with share their real-world use cases. Episode 40, this comes from our partner Blackbird, which is a cloud video editing platform. So we got Carly talk about their video editing platform, explain how they integrate 12labs AI into the editor's workflow. And then Tim Chaffee, who is an actual video editor at Blackbird, demonstrate a POC integration where models from 12labs helps auto-generate highlight reels, showing how an editor might soon just type a request and have an AI assemble the clips. Right. Episode 76, this is a presentation alongside Trackit and AWS. The use cases here is automatic spot highlight generation. So they show how the technology can detect key moment on spot context and compile highlights without manual editing. Especially spot is a domain that is very hungry for data and for AI. So this session resonate with a lot of customers and users. check it. Actually, come back for another episode. This one is 92. They talk about social listening in retail. Specific use cases is to analyze camera feeds and social media videos to extract consumer insight. This was a great example of how using like multimodal AI for marketing and customer experience, detecting how shoppers interact with product or video and correlating that with sentiment and trends. And then we also have a bunch of talks with some of our partners more at the AI tooling infrastructure category. So this is from Vespa, episode 79. Vespa is actually an open source engine from Yahoo, quite popular, power many products from Perplexity to Spotify. They did a deep dive on scaling video semantic search, show how they integrate 12 embeddings into Vespa vector storage for advanced video retrieval at web scale. Early in the journey, episode 27, we got the folks at Voxel 51 talking about multimodal search and dataset management. This is a great insight on how handling video data in enterprise setting, index, query, and visualize results when dealing with millions of video files. And actually, beyond just like this AI tooling company, we also have like pretty interesting application partners talking about how to use Tool Labs. Episode 44 is actually quite a memorable one personally for me. So Daniel and Marcos from Surgical Data Science talk about how this is a quite interesting overview of healthcare application of video understanding, specifically analyzing surgical procedural video for skill assessment, automatic report generation, and even real-time guidance. So this highlight the potential of multimodal AI in saving lives or improving medical training, which is a very inspiring application. And finally, episode 46, we actually work with a lot of the application company in the media asset management, digital asset management space. So episode 46, Anoop Thomas from Imam discussed how AI can enhance media production in broadcasting and entertainment. So they have a lot of media archive integrating 12 apps allow their producers to quickly find scenes and automate a lot of editing workflows for post-production generation. Yeah, so a big key takeaway from this panel session is that multimodal video understanding, multimodal AI is just not about research, right? It's already being applied in the industry. We see example from sports to retail to media to healthcare. We validate this with our community. That helps technology is currently being used by this partner to be very innovative solution, right? And for a company like each of these episode highlight or at least like make us like getting closer, forging stronger bonds, right, with the broader ecosystem, often spark new ideas among the viewers for their own projects of collaboration. Yeah. Okay, so the last theme I want to cover for the journey is actually our own community, right? Some of the most fun and heartwarming moments in our journey came from highlighting the community-driven projects, especially from like developer hackathons and events. So we actually dedicate entire episodes to showcase what these indie hackers or students have built to our labs in just a couple of days. About 2 years ago, we got this hackathon hosted in San Francisco called 23 Labs, and episode 24 is the one that we feature all this project, right? You see example where video tutoring, content warning, storytelling apps, application in environmental science, etc., all powered by our API. This is like the first time we actually exposed our API to like the broader like developer community. So it was very energizing to see all the type of application that folks build with our technology, and also like the better ideas, right, that can motivate the community. Recently, we did a lot more good ones. So, for example, episode 91 and 93 here highlight some of the winners from Hacker 6 in Toronto. Was a great one. We had like a lot of different projects. Everything from like emotionally engaging trailer videos to create multimodal MCP layers for continuous video understanding. All right. Yeah, super exciting type of application here. Episode 97, this is another recent one that we feature some projects from HackRise at Texas, Rice University in Texas. We have folks building application for education to telehealth, right, that can understand doctor-patient application. This is another good one from the recent HackGT hackathon, where we have folks building spot analytics application that analyze video footage to a video chat interface that can combat misinformation. So overall, like throughout this showcase, we saw some recurring themes, right? So education, safety, content creation, productivity was very encouraging to see all the developers picking up a platform to solve problems that they care about. And I think more importantly, though, like these projects demonstrate the versatility of our platform. With the same core API, people build everything from bias detectors to spot highlighters to language translator, right? So this proved our belief that a horizontal multimodal AI service can support countless vertical application. It also gave us real feedback and use cases that influence our product, which is truly win-win situation between 12 Labs and our community. All right, that's the end of the first part of the presentation. I want to dedicate the next, 8 to 10 slides to talking about like the evolution of our company product offering, right? Which is product packing Spotlight. So initially, developers could use API to build basically everything, right? Which is exciting, but sometimes can be doubting, right? Because you start with in the blank interface. So what we try to do is we package our technology into more targeted application starters. So we do have a catalog of sample apps here, which is live on our website with open source code for different use cases from education to spot analytics to security, right? And this kind of spotlight emphasize how these package application demonstrate best practices and lower the barrier for developers to implement 12 apps in specific domains. So our team has built several end-to-end application that showcase what's possible. So I want to highlight a couple of notable ones that that's get the most amount of impact. Brand integration assistant. This is a good one that talking about contextual advertising use cases. It solved the problem of disconnect between advertising context and then the actual game footage context, right? Deliver contextually relevant ad recommendation, ensuring the right message can reach the right audience at the right moment of engagement. This is another good one that focus on public safety and security context. So we build a sample apps called Bastion that essentially ingests HTSP stream and flag key events using our Marigo model to retrieve specific moment, and then using our basis model to return in-depth security report. Super useful solution for security team who cannot watch hours of video footage. This one is on the education use cases, take long-form video, automatically produce chapters, summary, even quiz question. The idea here is want to streamline educational content consumption, address a specific pain point for student and instructor. And finally, we got this pretty fun one for like shopping use cases. The idea is we can turn any product video or fashion haul video into an interactive shopping experience. So leveraging our models, recognize the product or outfit right in the video, and then basically sync them with a catalog so that the viewers can click and purchase the items that they see fit. And then we also want to have a couple of like interesting community build application. This is mostly from developers who has engaged with our API technologies, taking models and run in the direction we couldn't have imagined. Actually, I saw Julian in the chat here, so this is actually job projects. Gaslytic is a pretty cool one, detecting manipulative tactics in recorded conversation. So analyzing conversation, right, argument, and identifying key moments of toxic behavior. So I think like it shows how AI potential can go beyond just the business context. Actually, it can be relevant in the personal and psychological domains. Yeah. Post Guardian, this is another pretty interesting project that combines both software and hardware. So it has a browser extension that flags sensitive content that a user might be about to post on social media, as well as a physical device that can blur or block certain content in the screen. So here they use 12 Lab analysis in real time for both of the workflow. So essentially, it demonstrates how like the speed and accuracy of our technology to enable near real-time monitoring and multimodal detection. Also, a pretty cool glance at the future of AI at the edge, right? And how video understanding can protect privacy. Earlier this year, we sponsored a hackathon in San Francisco, Chinatown, and a pretty cool project here called Chinatown that connect users with authentic Chinese restaurant and educate them about traditional Chinese ingredient. So essentially, it's a pretty cool platform that get all the information from different restaurant or from Google Maps or from Yelp, and actually get the video of a review from the from the owner, and using our video understanding capabilities to analyze, categorize, whatever scene happening in the actual recipe or the ingredient making of that restaurant. Yeah, and finally, gaming as well. Like gaming is actually pretty cool use cases. This example here, there was someone playing Fortnite, right? And they can buy 12 Labs API for comprehensive analysis of Fortnite scenario game footage, custom JSON format prompt, chapter-based content breakdown, context-aware chat functionalities, also using 3D interface to generate actual in-game objects. So it's a great demonstration of how we can integrate video understanding, conversational AI, thumbnail generation, all together to create an engaging gaming experience for the end user, right? So why do I talk about product packaging? Because this actually guide our company strategy at multiple phase, right? Like by providing target solution, it helped dramatically accelerate our adoption. Not every company will have the technical expertise to start from a raw API. So we want to provide, or at least we want to invest our effort in creating this common workflow, like a ready-to-use video search widget, or like a ready-to-use AI modelers, tools, for example, that people can take a look, view, and adapt it based on their own technology stack, for example. So by packaging our multimodal video understanding capabilities into this user-friendly form, we want to make our technology accessible to non-developers as well, right? Think about some of the creative field, end user in marketing, security, and this is a key part about evolution from a purely horizontal platform to a more solution-oriented provider. Awesome. So I think we just finished the first half of the session. So now we'll have the next 12 to 15 minutes, which is a Q&A with Yoon Kim, who's our President and Chief Strategy Officer. He brings a wealth of experience in AI and strategy. He was formerly a CTO at SK Telecom and also a key engineering leader behind the development of Apple Siri. He joined 12 Labs late last year to help steer our growth. So in this segment, I will talk about what's next for multimodal AI and 12 Labs. And I will stop sharing my screen so that we can also see each other instead of just looking at the small interface. Right. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, June, let's just talk about your journey and motivation, right? Can you tell us a little bit about your high-level, experience building voice assistant at Apple, leading AI innovation at AI at SK Telecom, so folks can be aware a bit about more your professional background?
Oh, yeah, sure. James, thank you for inviting me. And before I begin, a huge congratulations to Multimodal Weekly. Can't believe it's 100. Before I joined 12 Labs, I had a chance to actually attend a couple of them. And I knew that Multimodal Weekly was a staple, one of the things that people look towards multimodal AI and machine learning research, as well as applications and services and industry. And now I know, you've had a plethora, a rich tapestry of episodes that really accentuate how exciting and potentially vast this space is. Just a little bit of my journey. I was the CEO of a company that was stealth in the UK called Novartis Technologies, and we were the second company that Apple bought in its journey of AI. And we were acquired by Apple about 12 years ago, and I joined as an acquisition. At the time, Siri had been acquired. Siri was itself a startup, and it was very early in those times. And we had a lot of fun, but also a lot of challenges building the assistant from ground up. And I would consider Siri as a representative example of what I call Agent 1.0. In 2024 and 25, we now have the advent of Agent 2.0. But back in those days, it was Agent 1.0, which was basically an assistant that helps you get things done or help you navigate an ecosystem like an iPhone, iOS, or Google's Android, or in the case of Amazon, the Alexa ecosystem. And we had a lot of fun, but we also had a lot of challenges in trying to integrate speech to natural language to action engines. And now that's 12 years later, that's all a lot easier with technological advancements that we've had. Moving on from Apple, at Apple, I worked on Siri, I guess, development and integration to iPhones as well as Apple Watch and Apple TV, and later on HomePod and AirPods. And I wanted to do something different. So I joined a company based in Seoul, Korea. It's the largest mobile operator called SK Telecom. And SK Telecom has about half of South Korea's population subscribe to it. So every month, it actually provides mobile service data. It's not only just a telco, but it had navigation, OTT, media services, as well as other services, kind of like Amazon. And so back in those days, about 7 years ago, South Korea as a whole, and particularly the enterprise in Korea, very unfamiliar with AI and ML. They thought it was a science fiction. And especially it was the case for telcos like SK Telecom. And so I'm very proud. And also I learned a lot in building that company up from the ground up to build AI teams and research teams that work on advanced 5G networks to intelligent cloud applications to later on AI infrastructure like data centers and chips and different things. So I'm very excited to see SK Telecom now being AI transformed. And now one of the main businesses that it has is AI infrastructure. And you may have seen some partnerships announced with NVIDIA and Samsung and Hynix. They're trying to, in South Korea and most part of Asia, they're trying to actually work with US counterparts to build the next generation AI infrastructure. And so, yeah, two very different experiences from the device side at Apple to server and infrastructure and data and services on the server side.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for talking about the two differences, kind of like almost industry, and I'm sure you have different exposure to the different type of technology and the culture as well from this organization. You joined 12 Labs late last year, right? So what excited you about the company mission when you decided to come on board?
Yeah, I joined 12 months ago, which doesn't seem like 12 months, by the way. It seems a lot longer. But when I joined, there was excitement around multimodal. As you know, I mean, I don't need to tell you how exciting the entire multimodal journey is. But in particular, what drove me is the fact that there were not a lot of companies working on video understanding models and working on foundation models that try to understand videos. There are many, many models at the time and still today that understand language and have autoregressive models that predict the next token really well. But in terms of video understanding, it was a very difficult problem. So I thought, wow, this company is solving an extremely difficult, big, vast, and important problem in video. That was number one. And coming from the speech recognition world, at the time, speech recognition, when I was getting my PhD, was a very difficult problem. Now, fast forward 2024, video is a very, very difficult problem with a lot of applications and use cases in the pedestrian industry and to change the world. So I thought that was pretty exciting. Number two is the fact that 12 Labs had a different approach to foundation models in AI than other companies in the world, including those in San Francisco. And that is that most models were language-based, were video-centric. Most models required hundreds of billions of parameters or trillion parameters now to be effective in real world use cases. And for 12 Labs, we were able to develop technologies through very careful and clever research and engineering to have models that are effective in the real world with a fraction of the size. That was very intriguing. And third, in the era of generative AI, where AI generates information, text, audio, video, images, that this company worked on understanding. And I think this is quite key. Even for language models, I would argue that we need to work harder on whether the AI model actually understands what it generates. If it really truly understands what it generates, then I think that's another leap in terms of our technology. So I thought it was kind of cool to have a company that not just works on generation or generative video, but works on video understanding. And lastly, I mean, the research-led product innovations was something that was quite key for me, starting from research, but to products, and then back from products to research. we have a long way to go and a vast potential. There's so many problems that are unsolved that 12 Labs and others have not solved yet. So that was pretty exciting for me when I joined.
Fantastic. Yeah. So yeah, that is like, the portion around kind of your journey and your motivation for joining a company. So let's dig a bit deeper into kind of your perspective on evolution in multimodal research, right? So the first question I have is actually around this sort of conversion of modalities, right? So I've seen like some of the session I featured talk about in earlier of the webinar, like you saw, variety of research, but also like even industry, like this big model start to accept, not just text, but also image, audio, and probably eventually video as well. How do you see this playing out? What's your thoughts around like having like a one model to rule them all versus like specialized model that can collaborate with each other? But yeah, for an objective, an outcome.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that AI models and machine learning models, the basis of such models is data. And if you think about internet digital data that was starting to generate from perhaps late 90s to about 30 years from now, we have rich content of language and text information that people share on the internet. But then you think about 5 billion devices out in the world that people carry around, including you and me, that have these sensors called cameras. And you then take pictures and images and videos. So you think about the amount of data that individuals in this world, as well as enterprises and organizations produce. It's vast. And I'm not of that generation, but the current generation of young folks around the world, I think video is their primary language sometimes. And there's many supralinguistic information that is contained in videos that language, speech, audio, text cannot capture. So if you think about the richness of data, then it is just obvious that these large language models and foundation models would want to entice and include and extend language to image, audio, video, and speech. I think in the future, there will be omni models from Frontier Labs that attempt to fuse and or integrate and or add, extend the modalities. Really huge models in the cloud that require, again, massive amounts of energy and power. I think there'll also be models that are smaller and more efficient that have to run on the edge. And if you are constrained in terms of power and memory, and in terms of the overall compute, then I think it poses an interesting engineering question as to whether a big omni model would still work in that environment. Also, there will be models that specialize in things like search and retrieval, like Marengo, or models that actually try to predict things or recommend things or integrate things or provide reasoning and logic. These are all very different areas of intelligence that I don't think, in my opinion, would be served, effectively served by a single large omni model. So in the future, I think there'll be diversity of models that kind of help each other out and connect each other. And we also see that in the agent space with MCP, that agents would call other agents for, again, handling that task that's complex in nature that require many different types of intelligence. That's how I believe the world will evolve.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for painting that vision in a concrete definition and description. Zooming deeper into like some of the unique challenges of video research, because this is what 12 Labs think about all day, every day. But what makes video understanding harder or different compared to text, image, audio? And like, and a follow-up on that is how do you see like researchers try to overcoming these challenges?
Yeah, I mean, I was a researcher at one point doing research on speech recognition, but video is much harder than speech or audio or text because of two things mainly. One is data. It's really hard to collect, manufacture, procure, and process and label the data in the first place to have a meaningful data set for pre-training, post-training, and evaluations and tuning. Secondly, because video is multifaceted and it has superlinguistic layers of information as well as linguistic and higher level and lower level information, it's really hard to come up with effective evaluation metrics and criteria for how models should perform. And thirdly, because of the vast diversity of applications and use cases, it's often very difficult for researchers as well as technologists to try to understand how this model will be used for, especially in the case of foundation models, the usage is so broad that it's very difficult and challenging to optimize your foundation model for certain use cases that pertain video because of the vast variety and diversity of applications that it can be used for.
Yeah, so just to recap, data evaluation as well as the sort of uncertain ambiguity of the business use cases, right? I want to double click on kind of the role of evaluation, which is the second point you mentioned in both academia but as well as industry, right? So in your opinion, what sort of evaluation benchmark will drive progress for like kind of the video understanding research?
I think this is just there's a huge potential of value in this area. We have just scraped the surface. Academic benchmarks are very useful for publications and also sharing your innovations and advancements with the academic world. And there have been a lot of efforts to make sure that video understanding benchmarks are well positioned to do that. There also needs to be real world data that's shared with the world by industry, but also governments and other public institutions. I hope, again, with 4.5 billion devices that people have, and also many, many more devices that are machines that are equipped with cameras and sensors, I hope that there will be more publicly available video data sets and corpora for measuring real world applications and accuracies thereof. Now, in this, I think it's just we need better types. We need more additional types of evaluation sets that measure different things. And we need a way to probably holistically understand the model's capabilities using both academic benchmarks as well as our customers' benchmarks or real world data sets. And in this, two things I wanted to mention. One is not all errors that the AI model makes is equal. Sometimes in benchmarks, we have the fallacy of counting one error and then trying to see whether the accuracy improved by reducing that error. But in the real world, that error might not be as critical as certain other types of errors. And so it's complicated, but I think we need to very much understand that in the real world for AI to be useful, we have to consider each and every type of error different because it pertains to task completion and also it pertains to safety of these models. Secondly, the point I wanted to make is state of the art, the SOTA models, the state of the art models in industry or academia. It does not necessarily mean, especially in the case of video understanding, if you have a SOTA model in video understanding, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a useful model for the real world. So you have to have an absolute measure of usefulness, as well as the relative measure of how well your models are doing in academia and in other test benchmarks.
Perfect. So yeah, just to recap on this part, like not all errors are created equal, and then you require an absolute usefulness, right? An indicator of usefulness for that model to make the leap
Precisely.
from an academic environment to an actual practical, industry level environment. Yeah. So yeah, those are kind of some of the questions I have for kind of the evolution of multimodal as well as food understanding research. For the next part, I will talk about actually kind of the 12 Labs journey as well, our evolution as a company, as a product. You're the chief strategy officer, so you obviously have a lot of ideas and thoughts on how to drive the company forwards, right? As we continue this journey. First question I have on around this topic is around like our own foundation models, right? So 12 Labs build video foundation models. We have Marengo as well as Pegasus. What do you think is like the next next phase of these two models?
Yeah, I mean, with the 100th episode of Multimodal Weekly, I mean, our models, Meringue and Pegasus, should better be more mature and continue to push the boundaries of video foundation models. I think for Marengo, as you know, Marengo is nothing but a model that converts raw video data into information that can be searched in the form of embeddings. And so I think for Marengo, the goal for us for the next Marengo is to make it more efficient, more effective, and scale to be able to search over not only thousands of hours of video, but millions of hours of video. I think for Pegasus, it's a relatively newer model for 12 Labs, and Pegasus is turning raw videos and archives into information like unstructured video to structured information, but also knowledge. And I think in this, Pegasus has a great potential to become kind of that information and knowledge warehouse for a lot of applications. And I do see in the future kind of Marengo and Pegasus evolving together to work together in solving very complex problems that our customers currently have. And finally, I think obviously we need to make Marengo and Pegasus more accessible through our developer communities, as well as I was really excited to hear about these vertical applications that we have internally, as well as our community. So make it easier for our developers to develop models based on the most advanced capabilities of our next generation models.
Absolutely. And nice segue to my next question around like sort of package application like for different verticals, right? We talked throughout like this session about like kind of the general purpose of foundation models and the need to um kind of make them relevant, right, for different industry and vertical. So at high level, how do you see our company kind of evolve to meet the needs of this, different, very specific requirement from like very wide-ranging industry?
Yeah, it is wide ranging. Just by looking at the episodes themselves, but also the applications. Um, from my standpoint, I look at it from two angles, two axes. One axis is videos that's been generated and curated by humans for human consumption. And that pertains to media creation, sports, entertainment, and extends to advertising, because again, advertising media is consumed by humans, for humans. And I think in that realm, we will continue to push the boundaries of depth so that more and more of these developers, communities, and ecosystems, including creators, as well as big enterprises, small enterprises, and even individuals, can start to harness the power of what our models can provide in terms of making their creation process better, being able to save time, so actually they have more time to do the things that they do really well, which is build something great and awesome, and also to perhaps contribute to the ecosystem in ways that encourage new ways of monetizing these contents. So I think that's kind of our goal there. Then there's the other axis, which is videos that were created and or captured automatically by machines. And what I mean by that are drones, closed circuit television, different sensings, even like these XR glasses, they're captured by machines without really human intervention, all semi-automatic. So for these types of video that try to model and understand the physical world, what can we do? And in that realm, I think government, public sector, security, surveillance, public safety, manufacturing, healthcare, these are all, I think, verticals that require a very deep understanding of machine-generated, curated videos, very, very long form content, very sparse videos, and again, extract from those video archives information, knowledge, insights, and maybe some enlightenment, so that from those videos, we can have a safer world, we can have a more productive world, and as you mentioned, James, earlier, we can start to save lives. And so I think among those two axes, you see many, many different areas that we will hit. And I haven't even talked about physical AI and robots yet. We're going in these two directions that are quite orthogonal to help our customers in these industries.
Fantastic. Yeah. Too fond of video, right? Video is made to consumption and video capture by device and almost like on demand, right? So we try to tackle both of these approach, right? And obviously, like, yeah, like overall, like we see a lot of adoption from big companies, but also like on the government and public safety sector. So I think, yeah, totally like our company and technology will evolve to meet the needs of this, very diverse and complex workflow. I guess the last question I have for this Q&A part of the webinar is around the future, like how does success look like? So like assuming we have this conversation again by the end of 2026, right? It's just assuming it's episode 150 if I still keep up this cadence. What do you hope we will be discussing?
Well, I can't predict the future, but in terms of research, there's a deep, deep and vast, I think, pool of problems that can be solved. One is deeper understanding of cross modalities. Because audio, video, speech, language, text, they're related. Then the correlated information in a video. I don't know if we really have good techniques to understand the cross-modality information theories between them. So I think definitely that would be something I would be really looking forward to in terms of research innovations. Then I think the area of agents and perhaps superhuman agents that perform capabilities using these models from language to video, and the concept of video reasoning. What is reasoning in the super linguistic realm is a problem that I think both researchers and engineers and developers can solve together by creating awesome applications of video reasoning agents that demonstrate that capability and potential. Other is, I think, is really more better. I mean, can we get into 100 trillion parameter models, and how useful would they be? What are the limitations and walls that large language models hit today? I think it'll be much more evident a year from now that these models are not as capable and they will hit limits. So in that case, is smaller better? Are there other ways to understand language in other realms of modalities? What about AIs on the edge? These are all, I think, questions and things that I would really look forward to hearing about. And last but certainly not least, especially with video generation and video understanding, I think we have to have the community understand the importance of guardrails for safe, transparent, and trustworthy and reliable AI to be able to understand things in the way that we want to and generate things in the way that we want to. So I foresee a lot of research and development in that realm.
Yeah, awesome. Cross modalities research, agentic workflow that can accomplish physical tasks. And then forgot the third one you mentioned.
Smaller models to the edge.
Smaller to the edge, right? Awesome. And then the security standard, trustworthiness, guardrails to in the age of AI generated content. Yeah, these are very pertinent and exciting rep that we can. I'm sure we'll have a lot of discussion probably next year.
100%.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Yoon. I think that's the close of the Q&A part of the webinar. We still have like about 5 minutes left, so I will quickly sprint through the remaining slide, just going over community recognition, etc. So let me share my screen again. Yep. All right. Hope you can all see my screen. So next few slides, just walking over the community recognition. So you know, okay, again, like the series not going to be you know, consider a success without like, you know, having regular attendees, without folks who contribute, and even like all the speakers, right? Everyone who have prepared the materials. So I want to say thank you to a couple of recognition to those who have contributed to this journey. First is around like partners and collaborators. So we super fortunate to partner with a lot of organizations that amplify our impact. So ranging from cloud and infra partner, example, these are companies that not only support us, right, from investment to like, you know, actual technology integration, but also believe in our vision early on. Amazon have helped us with a lot of like, you know, hosting events, hackathon, brought a model to Bedrock. Databricks enable our models, embeddings to directly integrate in their Mosaic platform. NVIDIA, of course, providing a lot of compute support, right? So these are organizations that provide the backbone that power large-scale multimodal video understanding deployment. Ecosystem and tech partners, you know, a lot of the vector database company, AI tooling company, these are innovators in the space who work with us to ensure like our embeddings, our API play nicely in the broader AI stack, right? Because of them, developers can plug and play 12 labs into various pipelines with ease. So we appreciate the collaboration in building a cohesive AI ecosystem. Solution and domain partners, these are companies in specific domains ranging from meta editing, asset management, to cloud consulting, video database management, video analytics. They integrate our technology and share the experience on the webinars. So by championing real-world application, they help validate the technology. And I'm actually going to jump into another persona, which is the research contributors. So we want to big thanks to all the researchers and academics who have shared their findings on our platform. We have a lot of speakers ranging from Meta to, you know, Google, Microsoft, MIT, Stanford, in China, in Korea, case, for example. They took time to prepare presentation for the community, effectively educating the world on multimodal events. So yeah, we want them to know that they work not only push science forward, So these are some photos from our engagement at various academic conferences, CVPR. We hosted a workshop in NeurIPS last year. We're actually going to be in NeurIPS again this year. So if you watch this episode and you attend the event, it could be great to catch up. And we're actually also doing some pretty exciting thing for CVPR next year as well. I think Shada is on the call, but yeah, we can talk more about in details. Next year. Yeah. Of course, developers and communities members, right? We did a lot of these developer hackathons, meetups, events like this throughout the country. Appreciate all the folks who has tried 12 labs, give us feedback, build side projects, show creativity and enthusiasm, what drives, kind of our focus and of course, congrats to all the winners and participants we feature. These are just some samples photos from San Francisco, Denver, LA, and many more. Yeah. Last but not least, we have a small, I guess like 2,000 members. I'm not sure it's small or not, but it's a Discord community where we features a lot of excitement. So this is mostly for engagement, right? So you want to continue the discussion after, you can join the Discord, answering questions, share their projects, right? And we plan to make this environment even more exciting for new folks in the future who will join and learn about multimodal AI, right? I think we out of time, so Fortunately probably doesn't have time for Q&A, but we'd love to provide some sort of closing remarks with some of the upcoming milestone, right? So, if you want to stay up to date and learn more about our efforts with the developer and user community, subscribe to our newsletter, right, on our blog. Great way to get updates on new announcement content. Also, a reminder to join our Discord server, right? Great way to stay connected between episodes. In terms of upcoming release and events, like we'll have some exciting product launch coming up soon, later this month by the end of the year as well. Of course, I'll continue hosting Multimodal Weekly. Episode 101 is next week, right? And finally, in terms of events, we have a bunch of like interesting enterprise conferences as well as like academic and developer conferences playing out throughout end of the year as well as 2026. So, and we do a lot more. So like, if you're interested and want to participate in this event, you can stay connected and follow up. Awesome. So yeah, thanks everyone. And thanks for joining, folks who are joining live as well as folks who watch this later on via YouTube. And yeah, let's stay in touch and looking forward to see many of you more in the future. Cheers. All right, stop sharing my screen, stop the recording.